Hello, my fellow seekers. Welcome to Into the Work, therapy for empaths, seekers, and the intuitively driven, where you have front row seats to therapy sessions and expert interviews that will help you define the important work that you're here to do. So I guess you actually have something better than front row seats. You practically have a seat on my couch. That's right, you will have unrestricted access to actual sessions with real people, exploring real life issues. You will continue to be inspired by powerful conversations with experts and healers that might just share exactly what it is that you need to hear to get unstuck. I am Michelle Pauverman. I am a recovering people pleaser and former anxiety-driven empath, turned now mostly grounded psychotherapist and intuitive coach. I have been helping people for almost 20 years manage their limiting beliefs and anxiety to finally stop the self-sabotage and step into their gifts. I created this podcast, Into the Work, to give you a place to learn more about yourself and give you actionable strategies to finally move those roadblocks holding you back so you can go for what you want. Above all else, my hope is that this podcast is a catalyst for your awakening. If you're listening, you've already taken a step towards getting off of autopilot, and our next steps together will be taken episode by episode, waking you up to the possibilities, the new ways of thinking and being, so that you can stretch into that next level of your story. The spark has already been lit, and my friend, this is a journey from spark to brilliance. So together, let's light a fire. Welcome back to the show. Today, we are going to be talking about goal setting because it is goal setting season and the energy of this new year is definitely palpable. Today, I want to help you set a soul-aligned goal and stay free of the pitfalls of setting a new goal that just stops feeding your soul and starts eating away at your confidence and well-being and triggers your self-sabotage. Because you know you've been there, right? Like we've all sabotaged a goal, set ourselves up when we set that goal because we didn't really set it correctly and we came from the wrong place, the wrong motivations, and we ended up sabotaging it. So I would like to help you create the goals that really are in your highest and best, that really align with you from your values to the desires that you have. And then this episode will then support you in stepping into your power and staying there while you expand your life and you go for what you really want, because that's what soul goals can do as long as we keep them in the lane they're supposed to be in. And that's going to make sense as we go. So a soul-aligned goal is a personal goal that feels deeply meaningful. It feels really authentic to you. It's driven by your intuition, your inner values, rather than external pressure or societal expectations. It's a goal that aligns with your true purpose. It inspires you, right? This goal itself inspires you to become the best version of yourself. And it's often rooted in qualities like love, compassion, service, personal growth. It can be a little scary because these soul goals are meant for us to expand and stretch. So I'm not saying they're not a little scary, but they are not rooted in self-loathing or criticism or a need for approval. While feeling disgusted with yourself right now can seem like a strong motivator, I'm telling you, take it from me. I sit in the chair and I talk to people all week long, week after week. And I'm telling you that when we come from a place of feeling gross, when we come from a place of self-criticism, right? We feel disgusted with ourselves. We lose steam early in the game. It's hard to maintain the energy that you need coming from a place of deprivation. Okay? So don't get me wrong. The goal should trigger you a little bit. Like I said, you want it to be a stretch from your comfort zone. In fact, you have a higher success rate with goals that are challenging and specific than goals that you see as easy and comfortable. I know that doesn't make a lot of sense in our brains, but they do find that people have a higher success rate when it's a harder goal, when it's more specific and really like a reach. Really, over 1,000 studies show that setting high goals results in better task performance, motivation, and persistence compared to vague goals or goals that are really just kind of in a comfort zone. So this rings true because soul-aligned goals can be done with more ease, but they are not easy. And they have clarity. They are not jumbled up in shame and perfectionism and things like that. So they have a lot of clarity to them. And when I say that, I'm actually thinking energetically, like they have a higher vibration to them. You feel that higher vibration. That higher vibration of that soul-aligned goal actually keeps feeding you as you go, as long as you can stay aligned with it. So you're going to get it wrong some days. Okay. So like you're going to screw up your progress. There's going to be a day of sabotage. There's going to be something that happens. And in the world of therapy, relapse is called research, right? So when you align with love, these goals allow you to explore your true resiliency. That's how you build muscle, is by screwing up and then getting back on board. And that's how you build the muscle of resiliency. So let's see if your goals are soul-aligned goals. So here are some aspects I want you to consider when either you are about to goal set or if you've already set some goals. I want you to see after today's episode, you can take a look and see, does this really feel soul-aligned for me? And if it isn't, can I get on board with that? What do I need to change about my perspective, how I'm showing up in it, and things like that? So aspects of a soul-aligned goal. 1, the goal feels deeply personal. It feels aligned with your values. It's not influenced by external pressures. So let's say you want to start a business this year. You've got it on your list. You're doing it from a place of excitement. You're doing it from a place where it fulfills a passion. It's an outlet for an energy to come from you and grow and build. Not because it's trendy, not because everybody's been telling you to do it for 5 years, not because you should have done it already. You're doing it because it is a place to take your energy and funnel it into creativity and excitement. It is what brings you joy, right? So we're looking at authenticity around your motivation. You're also, of course, I'm going to plug this, but you're also looking at intuition. Does it feel somewhat guided at all? The goal resonates with like a deep inner knowing or a gut feeling, like you just know this is a goal for you. This is something that the timing hasn't been right on before, and now everything is coming together. I'm getting goosebumps as I say that. So I think a lot of you who are going to listen to this are going to experience that this year, that timing is right on, and this is the time for that creative project, right? So for instance, you're pursuing a creative project despite other people doubting its practicality, right? That's not practical. That doesn't make sense. When you feel like that intuitive guided, but I have to do it. Like I don't see outside of that. All I see is getting this thing off. That's what this podcast was for me. Who, in their mother, thought I could possibly have any time in my day to do this because I was already so busy. And I'm like, you know what? Like, I don't know. Last year I was like, I don't know. I have to. I can't even make a decision on it. The decision's been done and the decision is in my body. It's in my energy. There was no discussion. It was just like, this is happening. And so when those kind of things come in, we just have to jump. And that is the best thing you can do, is jump on energy like that. Now, the next thing you can consider is expansiveness, right? This goal should challenge you to grow while feeling excited, but it's not really supposed to overwhelm you. So, for example, maybe one of your goals is like, I want to write a book. I'm really selecting big goals here. They can be smaller. But let's say your goal is, I want to write a book. Now, the book is supposed to reflect this unique perspective on a topic you care about. And that makes it really expansive because you know that your energy is going to get funneled, your vibration is going to get high. But what ends up happening when that isn't really in alignment for you and you're doing it only because everybody is telling you, like, why haven't you done that already? Somebody's telling you, it's a business goal and it has to happen. And, sometimes we set out to do goals that aren't in alignment with us and they burn us out and they make us exhausted. And we become very overwhelmed by them. Those are all key things to watch out for when you're setting goals. Now, it's not that you can't become overwhelmed with a soul-aligned goal, but that just tells you there's a red flag telling you you have to adjust. There's something's not right. And even if the goal is still aligned for you, if that type of overwhelm and burnout comes in, then it's time for you to look at how you're showing up in it. Old buttons are probably being pushed, and it's time for you to recognize that and do some healing. So then the next thing I want to say that sort of is in the same boat is this: there should be some realistic sustainability. Soul goals support your well-being, like I said, rather than leading you to burnout. So somehow it just will magically kind of, even somewhat, I don't want to say effortlessly, it could take a ton of effort from you, but somehow magically it all starts to fit in. And prioritizing that balance without sacrificing things that are really important to you should be able to be done. Okay. Sometimes our egos get us to overstretch. And so I want you to be careful of that. These goals should be able to be done without you sacrificing your health, your sleep, right? Certain aspects should be sustainable in your life that are crucial to your well-being. It shouldn't touch upon those things. And then the last thing I would just want you to really pay attention is, does it bring you joy? Is there like a holy shit excitement where the journey toward achieving this goal feels super fulfilling? Not just the end result, mind you, okay? It's not just like, oh, I want to be somebody that does fill in the blank. It's, this feeds my soul. This is so exciting. I'm growing and expanding, and, it's just enough crazy to make me sort of vibrate and feel excited, but also not taking me down, right? So now let's explore some of the pitfalls that you should look out for. And actually, at first, I want to start by saying that many of us experience triggers when we set a really expansive goal. And man, I am so all about you setting a really expansive goal, because I think we should all reach farther than we think we can. I think that's what makes them soul goals. Our souls ask us to fly and just be super expansive, while our ego really wants us to play it safe. So bravo to you if you are really trying to think bigger. I don't want to send the message to you that you're off track if you experience some growing pains. Weird shit is going to come up for the best of us, like imposter syndrome, right? There is nothing that stirs up old beliefs and triggers like a good old expansive goal. I mean, really, this is the time when trying to reach this goal really challenges a lot of old parts of us. Like imposter syndrome, I mentioned. It's like feeling like you're not qualified or deserving of your goal, despite evidence of your abilities. And I just want to be a nice, healthy reminder that it means you're aiming high and stepping into new territory. Now, the next thing that can be sort of a typical response, right? These aren't necessarily red flags that you're off track, but they're things, this is like your soul work, right? You set the big soul goal, and here's the soul work. And that is doubt and uncertainty. So questioning whether you're capable, if this goal is realistic. At some point when you have a really expansive goal and you have to step up to the plate, there's a point where you might just be like, this wasn't realistic. What was I thinking, right? This is asking something of you that requires you to leap with faith. And that can be really hard. So uncertainty is a sign that you're growing and expanding into something new. You're becoming. And so just hold tight, and I recommend that you take the leap and you trust that even if you fall, you'll be okay. Another thing that comes up is fear of failure. That doesn't necessarily mean that you've set the wrong goal, but it means that you're worrying about falling short or being judged, right? And just another reminder, fear often shows up when you're challenging old patterns. So if you have fear of failure, I want you to say, good job. That means that I am challenging old patterns and trying to get past them. I'm growing. If you didn't have that fear of failure, then maybe you aren't really stretching big enough. Maybe you are playing small. And so I just want you to say, good job. That fear of failure is showing you that you're up against your old stuff, and that's exactly where you need to be. And it's also normal, by the way, to have excitement for this goal paired with anxiety, right? It can be a feeling of like a mix of exhilaration and nervousness. And this is your body recognizing the potential for transformation and asking your nervous system to catch up, right? Like your nervous system has to catch up with these new ideas and goals that you're putting for yourself, especially if they require you to put yourself out there. So just have some patience with your nervous system. I like to tell people to think of it as a detox. So when you are having more anxiety and like, you know that this thing is exactly what you should be doing, it's what you're meant to be doing, but it's really scary and your nervous system is like, why am I so anxious? Oh my gosh. I want you to think of it as sort of like a detox. And what do you do when you detox? If anybody does detoxing, you know that you take it easy, you get really soft with yourself, you nutrition up the best you can, right? You put all the good things in your body, you do everything you can to support your body through that process of detox. And so you're going to do the same thing. You're not going to change course, right? But you're going to allow yourself to detox out these old emotions and all these old things that are getting stirred up in the body. And last, I do want to say another thing that this is my personal go-to. Another thing that comes up when we set the goal, whatever that goal really is for you, you can get into this really weird, funky avoidance tactic that I call, or other people as well, call procrastinating, right? It's I will procrastinate by researching like nobody's business. I can research for months and be like, nope, not ready to start yet, not ready to do it yet because I have to prepare. I could prepare for years. And so that is what you're looking out for. You might have set a goal for yourself and then you catch yourself like getting really stuck in that phase and not getting into the actionable steps. That is my go-to. I'm owning it right here with you guys. It happens to me frequently, but I am always working on that in terms of, okay, how can I take an action step forward even when I don't feel that I'm ready, right? That's like perfectionism and all that good stuff. And this is a good time as well to shift your focus on looking for synchronicities and signs. And I love this part of getting kind of magical when you're creating these really awesome goals for yourself. I want you just to notice coincidences or feeling guided in the goal or towards things around the goal and really look for how things are falling into place for this goal for you. I want you to look for magical things kind of happening like, whoa, oh, I set this goal to do this thing and this sudden check ends up in the mail and it helps support me. Or, any number of things that are going to be happening to line up for you, your success. If you're looking for them, be open to them, you'll find them. Just noticing those things that will affirm that you're on the right path. I love that part. So looking for those really great things that are affirming. And noticing in that light, you also may notice there can be disconnection before realignment. Okay, so bear with me. Feeling out of touch with your intuition or your purpose at moments during your striving towards this goal can happen. And it's often part of recalibrating to a higher frequency. So when we are expanding and our frequency is getting higher, sometimes we have this like kink in our system and we want to revert. We want to go into fear. We kind of want to go into disconnection, hibernation, things that feel safer on an unconscious level. It's not even necessarily something you're thinking about, but it is definitely something that happens to a lot of us. So when you start feeling disconnected from the goal itself or your intuition, or what is this even for? Why am I even doing this? That lack of drive and purpose or motivation, I want you to just take a breath and I want you to label it as, oh, I'm just recalibrating to a higher frequency. My whole body is shifting and this is my old system trying to come back into play while my new system is trying to grow. And so just have some patience with it and trust and know and look for that higher frequency, intuitive information that's all around you, helping to guide you. It's coming. Now let's clarify, what are the red flags for you that you need to look out for when you're setting these goals right now. Okay, these are the things that are going to make you lose steam. They are the things you need to reevaluate when they come up. You need to reevaluate your emotions. And if this goal is in alignment with your highest and best, sometimes it's still in alignment, but your old stuff is making it really funky and you're having a really hard time kind of coming into it from a soul frequency. You're coming back into it with your ego. But we do need to double check to see if this goal is still the right goal for you. So first of all, the first thing I want you to look out for is chasing validation. Okay, setting goals to gain approval or fit other people's standards suck. Okay, they're not good for you. Those are not the goals that are going to feed your soul. These goals often leave you feeling more empty even when you've achieved them. Like you don't feel good. For example, let's say you have a weight loss goal and you go ahead and you lose all the weight. And, you went through a lot probably doing that, because in order for you to actually be successful at that goal, it probably took a lot of your disciplined action. It probably took a lot. I'm thinking like third chakra, really pushing and forcing and making it happen. And probably that can be pretty exhausting, but you get the high, right, of the weight loss. You've made the goal. So there's a little bit of a high there. You feel like, wow, I did it. But you still end up eventually, when the dust settles, you still feel anxious. You still feel not good enough. You're still looking for validation externally, especially now that everyone has become the judge and jury. Because every person that says, you look so amazing, oh my gosh, you lost so much weight, they become an external judgment that you now need to keep up with, that you will now consider. And now it's like, you've got the shelves around your brain, right? These shelves where you're placing stuff up on the shelf. All these people are being placed on the shelf. Like, oh, these people like me. They think that I look good. And now you have to uphold that. And there's just this energy around it that can still leave you feeling not good enough and anxious. Make sense? I also want you to consider, if you keep easily forgetting your why. So when I say your why, I mean your clear understanding of what you want and why you want it, right? Knowing your why in terms of following through in this goal is crucial for any goals. Understanding why you're doing this, where the motivation comes from, is super important. And if you don't have a clear understanding of your motivation, at least not one that runs deep and excites you, then you are in the red flag zone. Focusing on what and how without the clarity about the deeper purpose, it really gets us in trouble. Okay, it really gets difficult to sustain your energy and you will self-sabotage. It's likely. So a warning, without a strong why, writing that stuff down, putting it on your mirror, making it your password, doing whatever you can to keep your why around and keep it clear, that motivation will dwindle. And if that why is not aligned with your values, with your soul, with your purpose, it's not going to work. If your why is because, well, everybody's been telling me to do this for 10 years, so I should do it. Or if your why is because I feel disgusting, or if your why is I'm so disappointed in myself, I have to do this thing, it's not the right place to come from. It may not be the right goal. And so you really need to sort of sit in alignment with, so what does your soul need? And we'll get into questions to ask yourself. And next, I want you to look out for rigid expectations. We do need some flexibility. So refusing to adjust your goal as circumstances change, it can stifle your growth and lead to unnecessary stress. But if you have a soul-aligned goal, like I said, everything telehow comes out of the woodwork and supports it. And it just does. I mean, there are definitely people with beautiful success stories that had to go through tumultuous times. I'm not saying it's going to be easy. Definitely not. And it may require your ability to show up with some flexibility, right? And so if you're getting really rigid in it, then you want to ask yourself, is this the right goal for me? Or do I need to adjust how I'm showing up for it? And also ignoring personal energy levels. I've worked with some people who are struggling with either a relatively new diagnosis or some sort of chronic illness or something where their bodies are telling them where it's at, like what the limitations might be. And now I am if you've listened to this podcast, you know that I'm a huge supporter of expansion and thinking outside the box and expanding our energy and doing all the things that we want to do to be big and not play small. But I am not asking you, and your goal should not ask you, to ignore your personal energy levels. There might be a goal that is aligned with your soul, but it's not for 6 months to a year, right? There may be something else that you're supposed to do right now. Overcommitting to goals without considering your physical, emotional, and mental capacity is not really in alignment. Some people, like I said, who are managing health issues, pummel themselves with these goals that don't match their current capabilities. It's old programming for them that says they are not striving enough and therefore their worth is devalued. Okay, so this results not only in burnout, but consequences to health. And so it's important for you to recognize, is this aligned for my soul right now in this moment? Maybe it's a year out. But in this moment, is this what makes sense for me? And also looking out for if this is about me striving to feel more valuable, to prove myself. Let's talk about burnout. So you started your goal and suddenly you're experiencing burnout in some way, right? Maybe you don't have an illness or anything that's really robbing your energy levels at this time, but you are pushing steady and you're a few months in or you're however long in and you starting to feel like I'm really burnt out. I'm really fried. This is definitely something that I have, this is a lesson I have had to hit over the head with. Quite frankly, I have had to learn this lesson so many times. But if the goal asks more from you than you truly have to give, it's an ego-driven goal. It's not a soulful one. You know, what is a goal that feels really good and excites you without robbing you of your life force energy? Again, you want to consider, is that true for you? When I say that, does it resonate? Or are you creating burnout because your goal is correct, but old stuff is getting in the way and sabotaging it and creating it? Like if you show up every day, I have to, I should, oh my God, I'm so stressed, oh my God, right? When you bring that to the table, you're creating over time burnout, right? How you think about stuff, what you create around stuff is sometimes, many times, the big problem. And so that's what this goal is asking of you. It's asking for you to do the healing work. And that's why the goal is in alignment. But you are really looking to see, is this an overstretched goal that is not good for me? And that what's the goal before that? That could be the after goal. Maybe you needed to do a goal that came before this one so that you can really nail it and get it done. Now, there are also emotional cues that you should pay attention to that will tell you that your goal is off track and it needs some TLC, right? You need to reevaluate your motives. The moment you notice you are feeling shame, failure, that you're not good enough or you're not as good as other people, it's time to check yourself. You have slipped into the ego trap. This is the ego trap of goal setting, and you need to nip it in the bud. Meet it with compassion and acknowledgement. Find immense love for yourself and create a statement that you have already prepared for when you're going to be triggered, right? Take inventory of your motivation, check where you got funky, what went wrong, get realigned, and remember your why are you doing this? Now, here are some tips for staying soulfully aligned. We just named one. We did just say, create a statement that you have already prepared for when you're going to be triggered, to remind yourself, when you're in a really expansive state, that's when you should write those things down because they're much harder to reach for when you're really constricted and anxious, or feeling shame dump, or feeling overwhelmed with your fears and all those things. So create the statement, write it down somewhere that's easily accessible, you know how to get to it. And really, when that stuff shows up, I want you to actually do the job of sitting there and reading it and saying it out loud to yourself as a mantra as you meditate. Imagine that thing sinking into your body and realigning your nervous system. So another thing that's going to really help you is checking in regularly. I want you to ask yourself, does this feel right for me? Right? Does this goal still feel in alignment? And it's okay if that needs to change. How am I approaching my goal? Is it soulful? Am I coming from a soulful, expansive place? And if not, is it constricted? And is it, I'm coming in from a place of fear and overwhelm or burnout? What is getting in the way? Another question is, what is getting in the way of you truly owning your power? Are you getting triggered by scarcity and other mindsets creating a story that is just too hard? Because it's really common for us to get into that place when things get hard or they get difficult. We can start to feel like we're not enough. There is not enough. It's too hard. It's not happening quickly enough, right? Sometimes we want that goal and it's just not happening fast enough. So we want to jump ship and we're afraid of it. Those are all ways that we kind of get stuck. We get shifted into powerlessness, okay? And so when you want to look at a check-in with yourself, you want to see, am I kind of getting into that scarcity mindset? Another question to ask yourself is, how can I up my game and make this even more positive and expansive and exciting? And if not, what's getting in the way of that? Our thinking and how we show up in this is everything. And so I really want you to check in regularly. Perhaps it's once a week in order for you to really know whether or not you are staying on track, whether or not you're staying connected to it. Because staying connected to your goal is how it's going to happen. And if it's soul aligned and it's the right goal, then every time you reconnect with it, you're high, right? Your vibration raises, you feel excitement again. Actually disconnecting from a soul goal and straying from it feels bad. It doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel good. Something's off. So staying in touch with your goal and spending time every week reconnecting with it in some way, whether that's writing it out, whether that's meditating on it. And what I am going to recommend that's huge for your goal is visualizing it. I really recommend every week you spend, even if it's 5 minutes, if that's all you got, visualize your goal. Visualize what it feels like. Visualize it happening in your life. What will it look like? What will it feel like to achieve it? I want you to remember, this is really important. So if you're multitasking, come back to me. In this moment, I want you to hear this and know it, that this goal is so important, not because of the outcome, not because of the weight loss or the car you're going to get or the house you're going to buy or the book you're going to write even, okay? None of it. The outcome is amazing. It's the fruits of your labor, but it's the becoming. It's who you become in the process of setting the goal that's important, okay? So all those hard obstacles that come in are medicine. You get to decide whether the challenges you face are medicine or are they poison. How are you going to adapt? How are you going to take it in on a cellular level and allow it to teach you and reach you and tell you where to go next? because every obstacle that comes in your way that makes it a little more challenging is part of your becoming. And once again, this goal that you set for yourself is not actually about just the end result. It is about who you become. And so I want you to visualize, who do I need to be in order to become the person who achieves this goal and experiences this goal? Who do I need to become? Who is she or he? And if that's true, and you can visualize that up, then you can utilize that every time you do a check-in. Am I embodying the person I want to become? What would that person say or do in this moment? And that allows you to really get deeper with this soul goal of yours and stay in alignment with it and really feel powerful over who you're becoming, where you're going, what's happening, versus being, the pinball in the machine. So I came across a survey that said that 59% of people who actually visualize their goals feel significantly more confidence in themselves and have more success. And so I want you to see, hear, and feel that this process of visualizing who you're becoming, visualizing the goal, visualizing all this embodiment of what it is that you want is just such incredible power. And every part of you, down again to your cellular level, can adopt this change. Literally, your physicality can change, your mental expression can change with this visualization. So I want you to create lots of small wins. Every time you do something that feels like you're in the right direction, I want you to celebrate it. I want you to acknowledge it. I am rooting for you. Don't forget, whatever excites you is meant for you. You only want it because it exists in your field of possibilities. So go make some magic happen this year. I'm really excited for you. And always, of course, reach out to me. Let me know what you're working on. Tell me your good news. I love hearing it. You can reach me at Michelle Poverman on all the handles and all the socials. And I will look forward to talking to you again next week. Okay? Bye for now.
Thank you for listening to Into the Work Therapy for Empaths and Seekers. Don't forget to grab your free gift, your Shadow Work Transformation Bundle at michellepoverman.com. I've included everything you need to get started to break through the patterns of self-sabotage and finally start to heal the parts of yourself that are getting in the way of truly reaching your potential. From a powerful meditation designed to help you meet and embrace your shadow self, to the guide that's full of curated prompts and important questions to support you on this journey. This really can be the work for you to unmask the root cause of all the issues you've been experiencing, honestly, and start to feel free to believe in yourself and go for what you want. The link for this free bundle is in the show notes. And if you like this episode, I would be so grateful if you could take a moment and rate, click and follow, and leave a review. Of course, you can always follow me on socials at Michelle Poverman. And keep in mind, as you embark on your journey from spark to brilliance, remember, the universe is always conspiring in favor of your awakening. Everything that's happening is in support of you lighting your own fire within. So until we meet again, may your path be well lit and your heart be guided. Shine bright, seekers. Until next time.